Morning, market chameleons, and there he is, Dimitri Pragmatic. How you doing this morning, Dima?
Good morning, Will. How are you?
Great. Let's jump right to the disclaimer.
Yep. Good morning, everyone. Before we get started, keep in mind, Will and I, Market Chameleon, we're not registered investment advisors. We're not broker dealers. We're not telling you what to do. We're just sharing ideas. If you need professional help, call your broker. That's what they're there for, to help answer your questions and provide you with guidance. There's the disclaimer.
All right. And we're
And
part 3 today, huh? Stock screener?
yeah, I think we'll continue on the stock screener today, look at a couple more of the data points. We had, I think, maybe a couple more questions yesterday at the end, right up at the end. We didn't see that, we'll try to answer today. And of course, if there are more questions along the way, people can put them in the chat, and I'm going to try to cover as many of those questions as I can.
Excellent.
So before we get to the stock screener, let's take a quick look what's going on in the pre-market hours. These are stocks moving in pre-market before the market opens. We have the most active stocks, biggest percentage gainers, biggest percentage decliners. I'm going to scroll down here really quickly just to see how many made our percentage gainers list. So I got 95 right now on the percentage gainers list, 64 on the percentage decliners list. So a little bit tilted or more favorable towards the bullish side at the open, but not by a lot. Let's take a look also at the high market cap stocks to see what's going on in those bigger cap stocks. And right now I'm seeing 24 made the percentage gainers list, 6 on the percentage decliners list. Nothing is sticking out at me a lot. Maybe this EDU, I think we covered it. That's like a Chinese educational. Let me just click on this really quickly and see, right, education trading services. So a lot of these Chinese stocks we talked about are getting hurt right now. A lot of them are way off their 52-week highs.
Yeah, I think Jake had mentioned last week with the Chinese education companies, the country's cracking down on the way people can actually educate, like the hours, and that a lot of the tutoring was going on after business hours, and they're coming down with regulations or something.
Yeah, it seems like right now, whatever's going on in China, we're seeing that spill over into the stock prices in a lot of these companies. We talked about Alibaba, one of the bigger companies out there. You would think that they even have more influence. They have a lot of customers, but Alibaba way off their highs. So I don't know what's going on, but a lot of government regulation is cracking down on just companies in general. So let's move on to the stock screener. If there are no questions about this, Will, I'm going to just move on.
Sounds good.
Stock screener. So I think one of the questions was, how do you get to the stock screener? So up top on the menu, screeners, to the left here, stocks. So that's how I pulled up the stock screener. We already talked about some of the features on the stock screener, how to use the filters, what some of these data elements mean, and I gave a few examples of screening out or using the filters to narrow down a particular group of stocks. I'm going to continue on that, but this is our 3rd day, so we did post those videos. If you go up here, click on the videos. I'll just do it really quickly. So right now, this is our live one. But you could see, we started here. This was part 2. Today's part 3. Let me come back to the stock screener. And I think what we'll do, one of the questions, I think there was another question you emailed me asking, what are these little boxes and check marks and plus signs next to the symbol? So
yeah, I think that's Maria who's asking that.
Okay, so here there are two things right next to the symbol. One is this little kind of informational sheet, and when you're navigating around the website, you might come into a stock that you're not familiar with, or you want to just take a quick look at some of the key data or analytics without having to leave the page. So this is the informational sheet. It's a pop-up. So like, for example, here, I'm going to go next to Google, press on this little informational sheet, and you'll see pop up. Here's Google. You know, we have the price of Google and what it's doing in the pre-market. Below, you get a bunch of statistics here about its price action, its volume, option volume. You can compare the most recent volume to the 90-day average. Same thing with the equity volume, its market cap. We put in an IV percentile rank in there, dividend yield, PE ratio. So you got 52-week high low. Again, this is so while you're on the screener or doing research on a group of stocks and something pops up that you're not familiar with, or you just want to check out even a stock that you're familiar with, some of the key statistics, that's what you do, is just open it up, and then you could kind of read about it. You know, if there's a dividend or earnings coming up, either announced or projected, we put it up here, you know, so you can see here next earnings. Right now, we're just projecting July 26th, July 30th. If you're not familiar with the stock, you could read about it. So there's like a little description. We have a link here to go to the website if you want to see what's the stock about, what kind of products they offer. Go to their investor relations page. There's the link here. You could go take a look at different charts, historical charts, volume charts, you know, implied volatility, historical implied volatility level, option volume, all this. Oops.
Jesus, you're almost doing a webinar on this.
Yeah, a lot of stuff here. We even created a small options chain here. So if you just kind of wanted to take a look at, oh, what is a call trading in June 25th expiration, something like that, you know, you could kind of go over there and look. It's like a smaller version of an options chain. Historical earnings, and you know, these were the dates, what the stock did, and any news that will be in there. All right, so again, it's a quick way to pop up some key information about that stock. So let me just see, like, here's Apple, you know, 2 news stories. So you see here next to news, there's 2 news stories. You can kind of come in here and take a look. You know, that you got the headlines and a little bit of the beginning of the news story. So that's the informational sheet. Next to it, you're going to see either a plus or a check sign. So plus is a way for you to add a symbol to a watch list right from here. So you don't have to go to your watch list and add it. You could add a symbol to your watch list, or by clicking on it, you could create a new watch list and add that symbol into it. That's the plus sign. You could also do it with the check sign. The check sign is just an indicator that you already have this in a watch list somewhere. Okay, so one of these already exists in your watch list, but I could create a new watch list and add Facebook to it. So if I click on it, you know, already added, you know, but let's just say, you know, I wanted to come down here and create a new watch list. So I click new watch list, give it a name, you know, new Facebook. You know, I'll add that. I don't want to do it because I already have a bunch of them, but you add that, and then you could add, you know, Facebook to that watch list. Or let's say, you know, here's Alibaba, okay, TSM. I could click in the plus sign, and if I want to add it to one of my existing watch lists, like tech stocks, you know, I could click add, and this will add TSM to my existing watch list that's called tech stocks. So again, this is an easy, these 2 are just an easier way to work right from a screener, so you don't have to go leave, you know, to look up some key information or to add it to your watch list, you know, by going to the watch list page, which is like under here, my watch list. You could just do it right from here. Hopefully that's helpful. And maybe I'll do one session, Will, about just creating a watch list, different ways to create a watch list. But just to give you guys an idea, well, when you create a watch list, you could go to a bunch of these screeners, news, dividends, earnings, option screeners, and then just screen by your watch list. So for example, maybe I'm interested in one of my watch list, FANG stocks. So I click FANG, and then here it is, it narrowed it down. And now I could just look at the screener and go through these tabs to compare this group of stocks to each other and what's going on. Okay. If you want to, I'm going to leave this for a second, but let's just say I want to look up any future dividends, right? So any announcements on future dividends, I could go to my watch list and let's just say, all my watch lists. So these are going to give me, any symbol in any of my watch lists. So some of them, I have them in multiple watch lists. That's why it's repeating. Or actually, no, they have few X dates. You can do it that way. If you're just looking for a certain watch list, here I'll do my big data. So American Express, that's coming up X date July 1st. Okay, so this is what I see. There's the next dividend is 43 cents, a yield of 1%. This is the next X date for AXB, and this is when it was announced. This is the pay date and record date. Okay, so you could see here, I could go around news wherever I want and just start screening by my watch list. I'm going to come back here to the stock screener. Maybe I'll just do a whole session, well, again, on watch lists, but wanted to just really quickly show those features.
Cool.
So here, I think another question was, what is this one-day support resistance? We talked about moving averages. And this is the summary page. But we could click around and look at different analytics and different data points. But let's just kind of come back to this page and talk about this one-day support resistance. And up here, we see symbol, name, price change. This is the volume of Apple. This is the average daily volume. This is the relative volume, which is basically taking today, the last volume divided by average daily volume to get a relative volume. This is its market cap, dividend yield, PE ratio, the moving indicator. We talked about it a little bit. This is kind of trying to give us a picture how the stock has been behaving if we're using the moving averages, right? And if you wanted to read more about it, you come up here where it says price, volume, and technical. Here's the moving average indicator here. And if you hover over it, it kind of tells you the title and how we determine. So an uptrend, you could see it would be if the current price is above the 20-day moving average, 20-day moving average is above the 50-day moving average, and the 50-day moving average is above the 250-day. You could see they're all crossed in a bullish manner. So we named that as an uptrend. Okay, so that's one way to really quickly, without going to the chart, get, how do we summarize what's the stock been doing if we're taking it from that perspective, the moving averages. Then there's this one-day support and resistance. And I'm going to use this technical indicator here, one-day support and resistance, and I'm going to click on above the resistance. Okay, so what does this mean? When when we look at a stock trading, usually it trades at a certain volatility from day to day, right? And if it trades within that volatility band, it's kind of just expected to fluctuate. So the stock, just doesn't we don't see a stock trade at the same price every day and then all of a sudden just one day move to the next price. It trades, there's supply and demand, and it trades within a certain volatility band. And we also, when we look at stocks, certain stocks are more volatile, certain stocks are less volatile. So every stock has kind of its own liquidity, right? Based on whatever amount of market makers, amount of people trading back and forth. But from day to day, it has a certain band that it's trading around. Even if it's trending up or trending down, it usually stays within a certain band. And we could calculate that band by looking at the recent volatility of the stock. So we could take look at the history of 20 days, 50 days, whatever we want. Usually, right here, we're looking at the last 20 days and saying, what is the band it usually trades in? And you could take the open, high, low, close range, calculate the volatility, and based on that, you could get a one standard deviation move. Right. So when we talk about in financing and volatility, we're talking about standard deviations. And what you 66.7% of the time, what we see is it'll trade within a one standard deviation move to the upside or downside. That's where the expected, support resistance is. Outside of that, it's more rare for it to trade that further away. But if a stock is starting to make an outsized move, right, that's the first sign. Hey, it's trading outside its expected range. So maybe that's a signal to kind of pay attention. Why is it trading outside? And now maybe the entire market is going up and they're all doing that. So that would explain it. But that's not always the case. And sometimes they start moving outside their band, and that could be a signal to pay attention. Maybe something else is going on there that I want to take a look at. So that's kind of like one signal. And sometimes they'll trade a little bit out there and come back in, which is fine, because the band is an estimate, it's a statistical number that it's a moving average. But other times it may be a signal of something bigger, about to happen. So once it's above its upper band, that's where we get that signal. It's above its resistance. It's trading above that one standard deviation move to the upside. The below support, that's the other way. It's below its one standard deviation move to the downside. So it's a very short-term support and resistance level. Okay. And by the way, options are priced the same way, right? Options are priced by the expected standard deviation move, up or down, given the time to expiration, right? So this is just looking for one day. Obviously, options, they're decaying, so they're 20 days, 50, whatever it is. So let me just stay with the above resistance. Another thing, just looking here at the above resistance level is what else can I see here that without leaving the page and doing more research that might be of interest to me. I do see here that some of these have already been in an uptrend, bullish crossover. This one, these are downtrends, bullish crossover, what's going on here. And then I could take a look at the relative volume. So the relative volume is telling me, behind the price action, how much volume is behind this push. And for example, Johnson & Johnson traded 5.5 million shares approximately yesterday, but on an average day, using the last 90 days, it trades 7.5 million. So that's only 3/4, right, of what it trades on average. It's not even the average volume. So not a whole lot of volume behind this particular move, 1.4. If I come down here, Eli Lilly, that's a little bit over the average, not a ton, but we see that it trades almost 5 million shares yesterday. It was up 2.4%. And their typically trades about 3.5 million. So a little bit above the average there. It's not, we're not talking about 4 or 5 times, but it's a little bit above the average. And I could also just take a look here if there are any news. So I could pop up Eli Lilly. I see it was up 2.4%, and I see nothing significant right now being reported. Maybe just yesterday here, management presents at Goldman Sachs annual healthcare conference. So maybe they did say something in there. You could go read that transcript, but they did have a company event yesterday, attended a conference. Maybe they said something significant in there. Now, I could even filter this down. I have the above resistance. Maybe I just want to see stocks that traded a lot of volume relative to what they typically trade. So over here, I'm on price, volume, and technicals. Under volume, here's the average stock volume. Here's the relative volume. So let's look up 3 times its average daily volume. So here I got Biogen, BIIB. That's trading above resistance, been an uptrend, trading 4 times its average daily volume. Now, Biogen, I just happen to know, had like an FDA approval a couple days ago. That stock was up a lot, which was that date was expected ahead of time. The options were telling us it was going to move a lot. I forget how much it was, like 30, 35%. It was up in one day. Looks like now it's still following through. So I could just take a look at the Biogen here. And we could see here, I could go back to the news, with the FDA, about their Alzheimer's drug. And we could just take a look at the charts here. And we see that big spike up that recently happened. So just from here alone, I could tell something's going on in that stock. All right, big spike a couple days ago. I could take a look at the news here, and I see here that it's trading way more, 4 times its average daily volume. Okay, here, remember, and I'm filtering them by relative volume here. Here's another one, SNN, up yesterday 1.7%. That's trading 5 times its average daily volume, and that's trading above its 1 standard deviation move. So this is one way, to start narrowing things down that might be of interest for you to go and do some further research. Again, it's just a way to narrow down stocks that, from 11,000 almost securities, now we got it down to 84 securities. Let me clear that. Any questions so far, Will? Let me know.
Well, we had a question from Rob.
Mhm.
He was asking on support or resistance when they differ. I understand an uptrend breaking the resistance, but what does it mean when the downtrend breaks the resistance?
So the downtrend, these downtrends and uptrends are looking at not a one-day move. They're looking at more of a longer term trend, right? Based on moving averages. So a downtrend, right? Here we could go over here on the downtrend, and here it explains to us what a downtrend means. So the downtrend is when the current price is below the 20-day moving average, right? So we got a 20-day moving average line. The current price is below that. The 20-day moving average, that's below the 50-day moving average. And then the 50-day moving average is below the 250-day moving average. So when we do a downtrend, I'm going to go here, downtrend. Okay, so here we see Alibaba's in a downtrend. So I'm going to go to Alibaba and just show you what that looks like. So we're using, a bunch of different moving averages. I'm going to go to the chart. And I'm going to go to the 1-year chart just to show you how all these moving averages compare. So this is just right now, just the line chart, last price. I'm going to add the 20-day moving average, the 50-day moving average, and the, what did I say, 250-day moving average. So here's the 250-day moving average. You can see the yellow line right now, that moving average is $252.93. The 50-day moving average, which is shorter term, is $224.42. So we're below that. 20-day moving average, $214.51. And it looks like, hold on, I'm not all the way at the last, I'm on June 8th. I can't get it to hover over June 19th. Here, June 9th, the stock closed at 213.32, which is below the 20-day moving average, 214.10. In other words, all these lines, the shorter terms are getting pulled down below the longer terms, and the shorter terms are getting pulled down below the intermediate, or whatever, the 50-day and 20-day. So all of them are just looking bearish, right? Just as we move closer and closer in time, they're getting more and more bearish. That's the downtrend, right? We're looking at a longer term moving average. So when we talk about breaking 1 day's resistance, just the 1 day resistance, let's take a look here. So Alibaba didn't do that, but I'm going to go here to the summary page. So 1 day is over here. So here is the closing price. This red line over here was the previous day's closing price. The blue line is telling us how today's price is compared to the previous day's close. So we see it's trading below. But what is a 1 standard deviation move? See, 1 standard deviation move for 1 day move, that's this green line up here and this green line down here. So you see it traded within the band. So it didn't break the 1 day support, it stayed within there. So it's within its volatility range, but it was down, but not exceeding its daily volatility, expected range. Does that help clear up the difference between the moving averages and the daily expected range?
I think that's helpful. Robert was asking in the stock screener, when you're looking at resistance, what moving average is it talking about, the 20, 50, or 250?
So again, this support resistance, it's important to understand there's a moving average that's looking at longer term trends, and the support resistance is looking for 1 day. So it's not using moving averages. Moving averages don't even come to play absolutely at all. It's only looking at a daily volatility. So 1 day support resistance, 20-day moving average is irrelevant, 50-day moving average is irrelevant, 250-day moving average is completely irrelevant. It's looking at a daily volatility band. Okay, so that's what it's looking at, volatility. What is the expected 1 day volatility move?
Excellent.
Right, that's why you have this one different than this one.
Cool.
Yep. Any other questions with these two?
Nope, I think you can move on.
Well, we're right up at 9:30, so I think we got a lot done today. And if there are more questions, that are following up on this screener, I'll come back to it. If not, maybe what we'll do is take a look at how to set up a watch list. And by the way, here's another way, I have 2 minutes. Let's say you wanted to take your watch list, and I'll do my big data. So this is my big data watch list, and let me just take this off. So I got 7 stocks in here, and these are stocks that I created, which I think have technology that's and a business model that's based on collecting a lot of data and information on customers. So, and the idea there is that alone is worth a lot of money to, in your infrastructure. So if I wanted to just compare this group, right, how it's doing, that's why I would take a look at my big data. And let's just say I was curious to see how the price performance is. So here I could see in the 1 year, I could sort it and see which one did the best on a 1 year basis. So that was Capital One, then Google up 71%, American Express up 50%. I could see which one's been doing well in the last two weeks, right? And I could kind of see which one's been recently a little bit weak, which was Capital One. This one, Google has been doing pretty well out of my big data set. I could take a look at 5-year performance. I could also take a look at the technicals, how far away the current stock is from its 20-day moving average, the percent above its 20-day moving average or below, 50-day moving average, 250. There's the RSI, how far away it is from the 52-week high, how far away it is from the 52-week low. So the idea there is I narrowed down just to take a look at what's going on in that group and which stocks are performing well versus each other. We're up at 9:30, so I'll leave it with that.
Great, Dima. Want to try to do the watch list tomorrow?
Yeah, I think maybe what we'll do is just go through how to create a watch list and how to use the watch list around the website.
Excellent job, Dima, as always. Thank you very much, buddy.
Thanks everyone for joining us. Hope to see you guys tomorrow. Stay safe out there. Have a good trading day.
All right. Have a great day, chameleons. Trade in peace. See you tomorrow.